Coming up on WUFT Midday, preparations underway for tonight's vice presidential debate. How candidates are getting ready to go head-to-head.
Plus, hundreds of people unaccounted for as search and rescue continues in North Carolina. A look into the damage North Carolina felt from Hurricane Helene.
In safety issues with Boeing 737s, why the National Transportation Safety Board says it should be taken more seriously.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
People across the country are still grappling with the impacts of Hurricane Helene as presidential candidates look to meet the moment. This is WUFT Midday. I'm Hayli Balgobin.
And I'm Jessica Nitti. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance go head-to-head tonight in the vice presidential debate. Alice Barr breaks down their preparations as Harris and Biden visit storm-affected areas.
Final preparations are underway for tonight's vice presidential debate. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance arriving in New York. His Democratic rival, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, has been prepping in Michigan with help from his wife, Gwen Walz.
She wins every one.
The VP debate could take on outsized importance, with the presidential nominees not expected to face off again before Election Day. Both tickets still searching for that moment to sway undecided voters.
JD's a very smart guy, as everybody knows. I think he's going to do great.
Former President Trump spent Monday in Hurricane Helene-ravaged Valdosta, Georgia, alongside an aid group bringing truckloads of supplies.
We are going to be with you as long as you need it.
The former president accusing Vice President Harris and President Biden of not doing enough.
The federal government is not being responsive.
Let me get this straight. He's lying.
I spoke to President Biden last night about 5 o'clock. Just about the storm.
The Biden administration promising to keep surging every resource. The vice president cut short campaigning to return to Washington and meet with FEMA officials.
I plan to be on the ground as soon as possible, but as soon as possible without disrupting any emergency response operations.
The federal storm response could have a major impact on the presidential race, with key swing states desperate for help in the path of destruction. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Jimmy Carter has accomplished something no other former U.S. president has. Today, he is celebrating his 100th birthday. Carter, who served one term in the White House, hit the milestone today at his home in Plains, Georgia. He has been receiving hospice care for the last 19 months after surviving a cancer diagnosis at age 90. The proud Democrat, who has grown increasingly weaker in recent months, told relatives he wants to hang on until October 15th, when early voting begins in Georgia, so that he can cast his ballot in the 2024 presidential election. The former First Lady died last November at 96, but he is expected to mark his birthday in the same one-story home he and Rosalind built in the early 1960s.
Thousands of port workers went on strike early this morning after failed negotiations between the ports and the International Longshoremen's Association. The strike is affecting 36 ports and the first by the union since 1977. Workers began picketing at the port of Philadelphia shortly after the contract expired. Circling a rail crossing outside the port, they were chanting, "No work without a fair contract." The union had message boards on the side of a truck reading, "Automation hurts families. ILA stands for job protection." Workers say their demands are very simple.
Days after Hurricane Helene's powerful punch, there's growing devastation across the southeast. At least 120 people killed, with hundreds more still unaccounted for as desperate search and rescue efforts continue. Jay Gray has the latest from Boone, North Carolina, where cleanup is also underway.
Hey, look, we want to give you a first-hand look at exactly what's happening on the ground now as they start to try and find some way to move forward. And it all starts with mud. This entire area is coated, caked in thick mud, so you've got to scrape all that away. In some places, 6 to 8 inches of mud that they just have to clear away before they can get to work. And then the rest is cleaning up and clearing out. You can see that's what they're starting to do here, pulling everything out of these buildings and businesses. Water was inside, so they've got to get it all out, and they'll try and clear things away. All of this going on, by the way, as they continue to assess the damage. And higher into the mountains, there's still areas they can't get into right now. We know that across 6 states, there are as many as 130 dead. Just in the Carolinas here, we know that more than 600 are missing, and that's a primary focus for a lot of those on the ground.
Every hour is precious because when you're dealing with lack of food and water, insecurity, and the inability to communicate, that does not help with stabilization.
So yeah, you've got teams in the water, in the air, on the ground, searching for those who are missing. The cleanup is getting underway. That's going to take some time as well, obviously. You've got more than 1 million still without power, so this is going to be a long and very difficult go for a lot of people. That's the latest here in Boone, North Carolina. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
Cedar Key is now opening its doors for volunteers after being heavily impacted by Hurricane Helene. Volunteers should head straight to City Hall to be matched with a family in need of help. There's multiple places on the island where families and volunteers can get free food, including the First Baptist Church. Cleaning supplies can be found in the Cedar Key Church of Christ. Residents who stored their vehicles, boats, and any other items at the school grounds should retrieve them as soon as possible as officials work to reopen the school.
Nearly 40,000 insurance claims have been filed across the state as of Sunday from Hurricane Helene. The number of claims and estimated insured losses will only increase in the coming days and weeks. Hurricane Helene made landfall in Taylor County on Thursday night as a Category 4 storm. Ranchers, farmers, and timber growers are reporting widespread damages from the wind and rain of Hurricane Helene. In a visit to Taylor County on Monday, Governor Ron DeSantis says recovery will take time.
Obviously, we've got a lot more to do, but people have worked around the clock. The response has been very efficient and effective, and we're going to continue to do all we can to help the people.
Insured losses from Hurricane Helene are estimated to be nearly $435 million.
The city of Gainesville is providing instructions to help residents get debris left by Hurricane Helene picked up. City officials say it will take some time to fully remove all debris from residential areas, but following the set guidelines will help make the process quicker. You can place branches weighing up to 40 pounds on the curb to be picked up. You should not block any sidewalks, streets, or mailboxes. If you use a tree service contractor, they should haul off any debris left behind. For a full list of instructions, visit WUFT.org.
Right now in Dixie County, students are back to school for the first time since Hurricane Helene. Dixie County School District canceled school on Monday to allow families to continue to recover from the storm. Governor Ron DeSantis and the Commissioner of Education, Manny Diaz, recommended schools reopen today despite recovery efforts. Nearly 34% of Dixie County residents are still without power.
After a natural disaster, the road to get back to normal is overwhelming for many. But to some, it's an opportunity to take advantage of those in need. Florida attorneys are reminding those affected by Hurricane Helene to be vigilant and aware of the rise in contractor scams. Services offered for free, require a down payment, or require that you pay in advance could be red flags for a scam.
Those where problems arise mostly in bookkeeping and accounting, and having your insurer reimburse you is making sure you're not paying cash. Don't give people down payments on materials. Let them get there, let them start doing the work, things along those lines.
Attorneys also advise residents to seek out state programs such as Seniors versus Crime or the Florida Homeowners Construction Recovery Fund if they feel they have fallen victim to any sort of contractor scam.
Let's take a live look outside for any impacts on traffic heading towards Gainesville. This is over I-75 in Paynes Prairie. Looks like traffic is flowing steadily and you won't see any impacts driving to Gainesville in your afternoon commute. It's looking to be a clear and sunny day right now, but another disturbance could be brewing in the tropics. UF forecaster Selina Massmann is tracking potential impacts.
Thank you, Jessica. Yes, a quick look at our current storm tracker. We do not have any showers in our sky as of this morning. However, the futurecast is telling a different story, with some scattered showers expected during the early afternoon into the evening. Even the First Coast and Space Coast, you guys could be expecting some torrential rainfall around dinner time, but the rest of north central Florida just needs to keep an eye out for those scattered showers. A quick look at our campus cam. We see beautiful blue skies, some upper level clouds, and some puffy lower level clouds in the distance. Visually, a beautiful image. However, temperatures are at 85 degrees right now, with the humidity making the feel like temperature in 93 even. You probably noticed walking out of the door this morning a very moist and humid environment. Unfortunately, that is part of Florida. The heat index reflects this, with Gainesville being at 93, Jacksonville at 91, and Daytona even reaching 99 at our heat index. So make sure you are staying hydrated. A very interesting power map to look at is the power outages that are still occurring here in Florida. Alachua County, we're looking at 3,500 residents still without power. Dixie County, similar with 3,500. And where Hurricane Helene made landfall in Taylor County, residents are still at 6,000 people without power. This map can be tracked all the way up into North and South Carolina, where a lot of power outages are seen through these red indicators. As these folks are still cleaning up because of the rainfall and flooding in that area, they're having to deal with the power outages. Taking a look into what potentially could be our next tropical system, there's something brewing in the Gulf of Mexico similar to where Helene formed last week. This currently only has a 40% chance of development, but it is important to note that this is not a tropical storm yet. There's only a 40% chance that it will become a tropical storm over the next 7 days. If we do see any sort of results because of this tropical storm or the system in general, it'll be towards the mid of next week. A low pressure probably will appear by this weekend, and just for the time being, make sure that you are staying informed about this system. There is no need to panic. There is no current intensity or track known for this since it has not developed. Just make sure that you are staying up to date on what could happen over the next coming days. Tomorrow, we're looking at a humid morning, somewhat cloudy skies in the afternoon, and showers are possible similar to what it is today. The 7-day forecast is showing the similar trend of temperatures in the mid to lower 80s as we get into the beginning of next week, even reaching 72 as a cold front potentially moves through. Lows even to 69. Precipitation is expected to increase over the weekend as that front moves through.
The head of the National Transportation Safety Board is blasting the FAA, saying they are not taking a possible rudder problem on some Boeing 737s seriously. The NTSB wrote the FAA failed to act when pilots of a United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX reported their rudder pedals became stuck when coming in for a landing in New Jersey in February. They issued an urgent safety warning over the issue last week. According to the agency, some 737s equipped with certain rudder actuators could careen off the runway on landing. In a statement, the FAA says it is notifying international airlines about the issue and has also convened a team to address the problem.
More than 194,000 Jeeps are being recalled after an issue when a battery component started causing cars to catch on fire while turned off. This impacts some hybrid electric Jeep SUVs made between 2020 and 2024. The company recommends parking your Jeep outside and away from other vehicles until recall repairs are completed.
Verizon says its service is restored after hundreds of thousands of people reported outages. In a statement posted on X, Verizon said services were fully restored on Monday morning. Any customers still experiencing outages should try restarting their phone before calling support. This is the latest massive outage issue so far this year. In February, AT&T went down for a large amount of users, and in July, a worldwide glitch caused by an update to CrowdStrike caused an outage in Microsoft systems.
Now let's get over to WUFT First at 5 anchor Mar Roches with a look at what's coming up on First at 5 on Channel 5.
Alachua County, Newberry, Lake City, and more. We bring you post-Hurricane Helene coverage in these places tonight on First at 5. Governor Ron DeSantis issues a disaster declaration. Why Alachua County isn't covered by state funds. Lake City is a hub for recovery, providing warm meals, showers, and water for those affected by the Hurricane Helene. Mercy Chefs, an organization dedicated to hurricane relief, gives hot meals to those in Newberry. All that and more on First at 5.
Before we go, one last check on the weather. Selina?
Thank you. Yes, taking a quick look again at our 7-day outlook, temperatures right now are still in the low 90s for tomorrow, going down into the mid and lower 80s throughout the rest of the week. As we start next week, we can even see a cold front move through with temperatures in the low 70s. Rain is expected over the weekend. If a tropical system moves our way, we can expect even more rain starting next week.
Thanks for joining us for WUFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
We now join Sports Scene with Steve Russell live on WRUF Radio and right here on WRUF-TV Channel 6.